So one of the best things to happen right now in Hollywood is the fact that a lot of women are actually coming out and starting to speak against the nonsense that they're kind of being pigeonholed into. You know what I mean? Like you're going to have a lot of these girl boss roles that are being selected with certain women in mind because they know those women are going to just say yes to anything. But there are actually women out there that are fighting against the nonsense. And we have another example of it. So we have an article here from Bounding Into Comics with a headline that reads Prometheus star NOOMI RAPACE, I hope I'm saying that right, would rather play roles written for men than likable women. And then she says F likable. Yes, so she is actively coming out and going against this whole Mary Sue concept, where it seemed like every female character that gets written in Hollywood right now are all Mary Sues. Every single one of them has absolutely no hero's journey whatsoever. Every single one of them has everything handed to them. They just are immediately good at everything. They are just such unlikable characters to the point where people don't actually want to play them. There are women out there that are not wanting to play these roles, and she's not the only actress to come out and say this. I've done videos on actresses prior who have said this, but we're going to talk about her specifically in this video. So let's get into this article, guys, from Bounding Into Comics. But of course, before we do, if you are new here, just consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it, and like the video to push us out into the YouTube algorithm. So it says Hollywood is crazy for gender swap roles, especially in the superhero and action genres. Paul Feig's Ghostbusters Answer the Call is the most notorious example that didn't go over well. But despite diminishing returns with female-led action movies, the trend probably won't end unless a drastic paradigm shift occurs. Though the studios might be hemorrhaging money, they don't care. Well, that first paragraph, right off the bat, 100% agree. This is not about money for them, okay? They've made it very clear that they can burn as much money as they possibly want to. They're going to get subsidized in some way, shape, or form. So they don't really care about making money. It's about pushing a certain ideology, pushing a certain message. And I know you guys hear that all the time, but it is quite simply that. There is nothing more to it other than that. They have an active goal in mind that they want to create this whole space where everything is about diversity, equity, and inclusion. Nothing else matters but diversity, equity, and inclusion. Screw the story, screw the characters, screw writing any kind of character that actually makes any sort of sense. No, 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 no. We just need to throw a chick in it and make her gay and lame. That's all we need to do. And even though South Park made it such a simplistic thing, it really is quite simply just that. It says, they'll go until the wheels fall off, and there is a surprising reason behind the narrow motivation of the reckless abandon lampooned by South Park. Some actors leave the impression there is more going on than the pandering to a small population and stubbornness of Kathleen Kennedy types in the upper echelons. In some cases, the performer demands a part they don't fit. Swedish actress NOOMI RAPACE, known for her country's adaptation of The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo and Ridley Scott's Prometheus, falls into that category. When discussing her 2022 film Black Crab, an adaptation of another Scandinavian novel, Rapace explains she prefers playing roles that are bold and punishing as opposed to fragile or likable. I can read a script and be like, I don't want to play that female lead, but what about the male lead? I like that character more. For so many years, the female roles were cute and pretty. They're attractive and they're likable. They're so damn likable. Rapace told the Netflix subsidiary Totem, I'm like F likable. So director Adam Berg rewrote this part to fit her and named the character Caroline. Interestingly, this isn't the first time this happened in Rapace's career, and the last occurrence affected the whole cast. Now again, there's nothing wrong with her not wanting to play cutesy, overly girly roles. I understand that. There's nothing wrong with that. As long as the roles that you're playing that are necessarily meant for the male characters, you can actually pull off, okay? Like, you have to make it believable. You got to understand, if you're going to have certain characters, depending on the story, obviously, if it's a story that's so out there and so crazy that literally a male or a female can do damn near anything, then that's something different. But if you're trying to base your story in reality, right, which it looks like this particular trailer right here, it looks like this story is based in somewhat of reality, you need to be very convincing in the fact that this woman, who looks like she's 115 pounds, needs to be able to be convincing when it comes to fighting off men, especially 300-pound dudes, and multiple dudes at a time. She has to be convincing. You have to sell it. You have to sell it as best as you possibly can. And the problem is they're not selling it. They're having these women do some insane jujitsu moves, the likes of which is just ridiculous. And then even if you want to convince me that she beat up a 300+ pound guy, no problem, she's also going to do it to 9 other guys at the same exact time. It's just ridiculous storytelling just for the sake of making someone a Mary Sue. So it says a gender switch happened on What Happened to Monday, Monday, the first film I did for Netflix, where it was originally about 7 brothers, and when I came aboard, it was changed to 7 sisters. I'm not surprised. And now the Black Crab, I think Adam knew that he wanted me to bring Caroline Ed to life, she said. Yet for her, there was an opportunity to explore the primal side of motherhood. I was at my most primal when I did Lamb. I was standing eye to eye with the sheep mother, and we had a staring contest, and I just felt like we're both protecting our babies, Rapace said, and I was like, I'm as much of an animal as you. Wow, what the hell is this? What in the hell kind of hairstyle is this? When did this even happen? What the what is that in her hair? Does she have gum in her hair? That's ridiculous. She continued, and I feel like protective instinct is something deep in my core. It's something I can easily tap into, and there are so many forms of motherhood. It's an endless ocean of different motherhoods and different relationships that you can explore. It's so primal and real. As a mother, she relates and pushes for this kind of role. I find these roles fascinating because it's my love for my son, and what I would do for him is my strongest relationship. That's the only relationship where you have no hesitation. I'll die for him any day. I'll go to jail for him. I'll do anything for him. It's something very powerful, very clear, and very selfless and unconditional, she added. And listen, I get that 100%. See, like, that's a story that's sellable, right? Like, you're selling me a story about a mom who will do absolutely anything to protect her son. Literally anything. And I think many people can relate to that kind of story. So that's something that I would be interested in seeing. Absolutely. But when you try to take this character that was specifically meant to be a man and turn it into a female just for the sake of diversity, just for the sake of it being a female, that's when it starts to get ridiculous. That's when you're like, okay, I'm kind of checked out. So unless you're telling me a convincing story like this one sounds really good, I'm all for it, then that would be something different. But unfortunately, they don't do that. Hollywood does not do that with their female characters. They write their female characters with every single stereotype imaginable, and then after they put every stereotype in there, they're so lazy with everything else that the story just falls completely flat, and you're so uninterested by the time the actual story starts getting told that you're completely checked out. You don't even want to know about this female character anymore. You have no care for it whatsoever. Some people are so checked out from so many bad female characters that they won't even go see other new female characters, even if they're original, right? If they're not gender swapped or anything like that, they still don't care. They don't want to go see it because they've been burned by Hollywood's terrible writing on female characters. Rapace also relished the chance to push herself physically and return to Sweden to work in raw elements of the climate there. I think it's important to tell stories about fighting through and coming back and healing. I asked myself, how far can you get with your willpower, she said. In other words, the hook was the mind over matter concept. For example, when you decide to do something, your mind is so strong, you can basically give your brain so much information that will make the body start to believe it. She added, that combined with her motherhood created a layered and interesting character for me to step into. However, the process wasn't as easy as Rapace's experience of regrettable injury. So it seems like she's a pretty solid actress overall, okay? It seems like she has her head on her shoulders and she's not just trying to play Mary Sue characters, and I can appreciate that. I really wish that there was more female actresses that would do that in Hollywood, but unfortunately, that's just not the case, man. Females out there are advocating for their own erasure. That's number one, which is really ridiculous, but we won't even get into that. And number two, they're just okay with taking literally anything at this point. They'll take the most ridiculous roles, the most over-the-top roles, whether they're super cutesy and super girly, or if they're super dudes and they're basically trying to pretend to be men. It doesn't matter. They'll take any role and they don't even care, and they don't even worry about whether or not it's going to actually help their filmography or not. So they're not actively doing anything to help themselves, and it's kind of sad because, again, when you have female actresses like this that actually care about what they're doing, it makes the story a hell of a lot more interesting. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy it, and if you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.